what is hard money?
See, sometimes I give you the answers on the screen.
Thank you. Equity lending, right? A lot of hard money is based on the equity in the property or the potential equity in the property. Absolutely. What else? It's still up there, guys. It's on both sides of me here. What about a foreclosure bailout? Right? When did I start buying my first deal? 07, 08, were there a lot of foreclosures back then? Yes. So a lot of people were using hard money as a way to bail themselves out of foreclosure. They would refinance out of their loan into a hard money loan. Does that make a whole lot of sense? Maybe, maybe not, right? I mean, you're really just kind of kicking the can down the road, going from something with a lower interest rate probably into something with a much higher interest rate. But maybe there was a reason, right? That's not what we focus on, but there's certainly hard money lenders who did and probably still do. What else? Investor financing, absolutely, absolutely. Can you also have hard money for owner-occupant? Yeah, absolutely. Again, that's not what we focus on, but it is out there and it is available. Why would an owner-occupant want to use hard money? A bridge loan? Yeah, absolutely. What if they went through foreclosure and they can't get a conventional loan yet, but everything else they've been doing is right? They have a nice big down payment, or maybe there's an issue with their credit other than a foreclosure. Maybe they need to get in, and this is a way for them to buy a house. Absolutely. So it used to be based on the as-is value, and in some cases, depending on the lender, it still is based on the as-is value. We're going to talk about tonight is based on the after-repair value, the ARV, not the as-is value. Okay? Very big distinction there. Also, it's used a lot on commercial properties. Now, who here invests commercially? Nobody? Perfect. I don't either. Maybe one or two. Okay. So if you were to go to virtually any commercial building and say, hey, did you use hard money to buy this? They may not, but at least they will know what the term is. If you go to your neighbor in your housing, in your neighborhood, ask them if they use hard money, they'll have no idea what you're talking about. Hard money is incredibly common in commercial real estate. But we're not talking about commercially, we're going to talk residentially here tonight, okay? So what would you pay for hard money? What have you paid for hard money? What are you willing to pay for hard money? A lot? Too much? I like it. So it really depends. Every hard money lender is a little bit different, both in what they loan and then what they charge. Inevitably, it's one of the first questions I'm asked. What do you charge, Justin? What are your rates? What are your points and your interest? And of course, what do I say? Not that, right? I'm going to talk about what you get for the value that I provide. Okay?
The sizzle, not the sizzle.
The sizzle, right. Because it's incredibly important when you're comparing hard money lenders to understand not just what they charge, but what you get for that. And we're going to go into that and make sure, before you leave, I want to make sure you understand that, at least with Pine Financial, what you get from us. And in addition to that, when you're comparing, which you shouldn't, but when and if you compare to other hard money lenders, you'll have good questions to be asking so that you will be able to compare apples to apples. Is that fair? All right. Now, hard money is a little niche, right? Within the hard money niche is another niche for rehab lenders. Okay? Now these are lenders, this is what Pine Financial does. We only provide loans to non-owner occupied and on properties that need rehab. Okay? Everything I do is based on the after repair value. So what does that imply? That the house needs repairs. You with me? Many times you'll need to close in the name of an entity. So Pine Financial out here, we will only lend to an entity. Okay, we don't lend to you personally. All right? Why would we want to do that? It's easier to foreclose. That's not necessarily the reason, because it's easier to foreclose, but what it does, it draws a very clear, distinct line between, is this a consumer loan to an owner-occupant, or is it a commercial loan to a business for investment purposes? What says non-owner-occupied better than it lending to an LLC or an S-Corp, right? That's the real big reason there. But if you're writing down apples to apples things, will they lend to an entity? Will they lend to you personally? Will they do both? So, when do we use hard money? And why would anybody pay too much? Jonathan, is he still around? Jonathan, can you see this house? Would you lend on this as a conventional lender? No. So step one for why we may want to use hard money is if the house needs work. If your conventional lender that you know, like, and trust can't get it done, how can you get into the house? Hard money is an option, okay? If you see this place, the roof is bad, windows are missing, the foundation looks like it's falling apart. I mean, there's a part you can see right through to the studs and maybe into the dining room, right? That's not gonna be an FHA loan on this property. Why else would you use hard money? Oh, I like it. You guys are picking up what I'm putting down here. If you need to close fast, usually conventional loans will take 3 weeks, 30 days, maybe 45 days to close. Typically, hard money moves much faster. What's typically easy for us is about 2 weeks. From the time I get a copy of the contract and the scope of work to we're sitting at closing and you're signing on the deal. 2 weeks. We've moved as fast as 24 hours for the right client, the right deal. If you need to close fast, what else? Less cash into the deal. We're going to go over that. Again, every lender is going to be a little bit different, but this is one of those things, those apples to apples. What kind of value can I get for what I'm being charged? Less cash into the deal. And if we have less cash into the deal, what can we do? More deals. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why we would do it. So let's dive right into some case studies here. This one's in the district on Longfellow. Sold price, $570. What I'm talking about there is the after repair value. Okay? After it's all fixed up, sold for $570. Is that reasonable? Is that an average deal over there maybe for a real home like this? Yeah. Yeah, very doable. Purchase price, $355. Who likes that deal? There's like 8 people whose hands went up. That's over a $200,000 spread. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a break. Everybody who raised their hand, come over here. I'm gonna talk to you. Everybody else, I like this deal. Now, why did you not raise your hands? There's a whole lot of space left on that screen, isn't there? I'm probably gonna go over a couple other things on this deal. All right, I'm going to assume you're savvy enough to know that there's another question in here, right? Closing costs, $19,000. Who's ever bought a house for $355,000 that had almost $20,000 in closing costs? And why did you pay that much in closing costs? Probably because you use hard money. Or if not, that's why it is this high, right? Hard money. The hard in the hard money is what is your little pocket right here. It's hard on your wallet, okay? That's what we're talking about. It's not cheap money. We charge 4 points and 15% interest. The 4 points come up front at closing when you're buying. And that's part of that $19,000 in closing costs, all right? Repairs, $40,000. What do you think we did on a $500,000 row home for $40,000? Not much. It was probably just a really thorough cosmetic, right? Nothing too crazy, but definitely getting in there. Paint, carpet, probably a new kitchen, right? Maybe a couple other things. 40 grand can go pretty far, but it also can get eaten up really quickly, okay? Especially in a $500,000 home, because you got to build it to make it worth that $500,000. $40,000. Holding costs, $25,000. How long did you hold it? It's a good question. I think this was about 5-6 months. 5 or 6 months. Again, $25,000 in holding is the hard money, 15% interest. It starts adding up quickly. What should that be for you? A pretty big incentive to get in and out quickly, right? Absolutely. Another thing about these hard money loans is they're very, very short term, okay? 6 months is probably very, very typical here. That's what our loan is. If you really beg and plead, I might have a 12-month option for you. Generally, it's 6 months, okay? Very short term. We've got to be in and out as quick as possible. Not just because of that, because that loan comes due. What else? Concessions, $5,000. What am I talking about over here? Closing costs for a buyer. When you're selling the property, right, now we're in the property, we've fixed it up, we've held it, now we're in the selling part of the numbers here, okay? Concessions, it's what we're going to give to the buyer. Whether they were beating us up on the inspection, maybe we're going to offer them a little closing cost assistance, whatever it is. In this case, it was about $5,000. So that's about, what, 1% of the sale price? Yeah. So typically when I run the numbers, I'm assuming 3% in concessions. And if it comes in less, that's great, more profit for you. But I usually assume 3%. The selling fees, that was not the hard money. I'm not that greedy. I'm kidding. Who's that greedy? Real estate agents. Yeah, right? All right. So those dashes there are not there just as space holders. They're there for the math. We're subtracting out. We start with what we sell it for. We back out all of our costs. Okay? So what does it come to? $90,000 in profit. Let's go back and say, who's going to be okay with $90,000 in profit? Now I see the hands. Thank you. Thank you. Who's really upset about the hard money lender getting their little cut when they still made $90,000 on this deal?